All right. This is the 600-second spotlight, 10 minutes that matter. Today we sit down with Cal Maskery, a leader with Shekanago work who's focused on recovery and housing support and creating real second chances. Back in June, one of the men's recovery homes was hit by a major fire, and 11 residents were made out safely, but the impact of the program in the community has been pretty significant. Across our 10 minutes together, Cal walks us through what happened, how the organization responded, and what recovery looks like when community refuses to give up on its people. Thanks for joining us, Cal. Let's get into it.
Pleasure to be here, Curtis.
Thank you. So I just wanted to ask you, how has the fire in the recovery home changed the day-to-day living of the men that are in there, and what has it taught you about the fragility of the recovery house?
Well, when that fire hit, we were at capacity. We had about 60 beds, 45 for men, 15 for women. So we were running at capacity, with plus people still calling to get in, and community members that come into our daily programs. We were out doing a park outreach every Thursday. We go, do barbecue, give out hot dogs, talk to people about our programs, what's available. And all of a sudden they get a call saying the building was on fire. Everybody came to the park except one guy had stayed back, and he was on methadone. And methadone, you can get a bit drowsy. So we think he left a cigarette on the back deck, and it went up through the back deck system into the kitchen and up into the rafters. So we immediately lost 11 beds because that house was severely damaged, more from the water damage than the fire. Because it was an older house, they doused it out, and the next morning it started up again, so they doused it again. So we're just recuperating now. That was in June, July, August, October, November. So 5 months later, we're just about to get our permit.
Wow.
We had to get it all stripped down. We had to see what it was going up. Estimates had to be given by companies, and so we're doing the project ourselves. We're getting a cash payout to repair the house. In the meantime, the other house across the street, one of two, had 12 or 14 men in it, and so to do a renovation there, because we lost our chapel as well as 11 beds. So to do a renovation in the other house, we had to close off the upper room and lose 2 more. So we went down 13 in total. But we're about 2 weeks away from reopening 4 more beds in that house, plus a dining room, which will serve as a share group meeting room and place like that. And so the working NB has come through and given us 4 workers paid by the government for the next 12 weeks to help us with the restoration. A lot of companies, when they've heard about it, have donated some products toward it. So we've had a good response from the community. So I find even though we had a loss, we have great gains in that a community rallies around you to help you with, the restoration process and the addition that we're doing to help more people.
That's amazing, Cal. It really shows you how community really can pull together at times in need,
Yes. Yeah.
So you've been working hard on this modified detox and triage center for a long time.
Right.
How's this affected the process of the men's lives? How has this affected that?
Well, that did set us back a little bit because we had 2 houses across from each other that we have for recovery. And it's about, like I said, about 45 beds, 25 beds. And then we have another 20 for men in second phase sober living, a couple kilometers away. But we were trying to buy the house beside it, which we were going to use a 20-bed facility for a modified detox. So in the holdup of negotiating on the final price, the fire hit. So we had to back up a little bit. And I think God in his mercy maybe came through a little bit, because to take on 20 beds for modified detox would have been very difficult.
Amen.
And we say modified detox, meaning we're not going to take the severe cases like heavy alcoholics or people on benzos that could have seizures when they're coming off it. We talked to the Mapleton Clinic that has a professional staff and doctors and so forth, that we would take the lighter cases. And because people can come off fentanyl, crystal meth, some of the most serious drugs out there, without seizures, they're going to suffer a little bit, but you can do it just by detoxing, for a few days.
Sure.
So they can detox for a few days. So now with the new house that we're restoring from the fire, we're going to do the modified detox on a smaller level in the basement, because now that the fire's hit, we can restore the basement with 2 large rooms for up to 8 beds. We're going to have a bathroom built with a shower and so forth, so they can have their own showers and cleaning. And our guys that are 6 months on in the program and beyond are going to be the ones that'll sit with them for 3, 4, 5 days to get them detox, so they can get into a program with us, or Harvest House, or Teen Challenge, Village of Hope. We'll become like a hub in the detox for getting people into different faith-based programs in the Atlantic region.
That's absolutely amazing, man. I really like that. So with the addictions court coming to Moncton, how is that going to reshape the way that men can enter programs like yours? How is that going to, what kind of effect is that going to have? Next year, I think they plan on having that.
What's that?
It's the addictions court for jail. So there's an addiction court process that's going to be moved over to Moncton within the next year. How do you think that might reshape guys coming from jail to your recovery homes?
Well, a good number of the ones we get from jail now already. So that's already happening. In a lot of cases, the judges know us. I've been 36 years doing this between, Harvest House and Shekinah. And so we get a lot of people from all over Atlantic Canada, Halifax, Yarmouth, Cape Breton, Newfoundland, all the New Brunswick cities as well. And so because judges have recognized that a lot of crimes are continually committed because of addiction.
Right.
When you're in the addiction lifestyle, it's all about me, myself, and I. So you're stealing or you're trafficking or you're, doing whatever to get the money to keep yourself fixed in drugs. So oftentimes when we go to court with them, we say, Your Honor, this fellow's crimes have been rooted in a drug issue. He wants to come to our program and deal with the roots to his addiction. And the judges wait on that. So many people come to us already. I expect it's going to get more. Once that's a blanket across the board, that's the way they want to go. And by the way, I think it's the right way to go.
Right.
But there needs to be more addiction programs in order to facilitate that.
Right.
Because there's a lot of crime rooted in addiction, and we're only hearing from some that want it right now. But when the courts mandate it, that if it's your crime is rooted in excessive addictions over and over, they need to give them an opportunity to come to a program rather than go to jail. And I think most people will choose it at that point because it is a better place to be than sitting in jail for 2-3 years at a time.
Right. It's pretty amazing that you guys are sort of taking the onus on you to help with that, with the court process. So the fact that you, like you said, it's going to be sort of a mandatory thing or something that's implemented across the board, that's going to help your process a lot more. That's really great. So you often talk about community, and it's the backbone of recovery. What does a healthy recovery community look like when you really need to get honest about it?
Well, when you think about addictions, most people are rooted in isolation. Because you get, you're ashamed, you're always begging your family for food, for your kids or whatever to get money. And eventually they see through it. So you lose your community. And because of the shame and lying and conniving that goes with it, oftentimes they retreat right out of any healthy relationships. So when you get into the deep rut of addictions, your whole network is dark. Right? So when they come to a recovery program, especially the faith-based programs, our greatest strength is community. Because that's what the faith provides. When Jesus came, he came to bring us into not only forgiveness of sins, which they need to come to grips with, but it also brings you into a community of support. So we teach them to learn to fellowship upwards. And it's not by being better than anyone else, but just recognize you can't go back to the friendships you were once in. You've got to come out from all that, start fellowshipping with those who are going down the road a little further than you are, and then you're going to make some good choices going forward. And when you feel like using, instead of saying to someone, hey, I feel like using, and they go, yeah, me too, and off to go. Now the person says, hey, let's go for coffee. Let's talk about that.
That's right.
It's that program,
It's that support that you really need. So like,
crucial.
It's super crucial. So like a funding faith-based recovery work is always so unpredictable. How do you stay focused on the mission while you're dealing with the financial realities that can make or break the program?
Yeah, daily. God help, Lord help. And we just know God loves people. And so every time we venture out into a new initiative, it's amazing how the funds come in. We don't always see it beforehand, but when we step out to help people. So though we don't get any government funding directly, we do in a backdoor route in that social development is set up that when someone's not working, they give them, like here in New Brunswick, it's $8.90 a month, I think. And so that comes in if you have a place to stay. So we have a cost for the program at $700 a month, going to be $750 shortly. And that includes their program, their transportation, their, drives to court. It covers everything. So all their needs are met, and they get a small allowance each week just to, get by. And then we've gone to non-cigarette as well after the fire, the third fire because of smoking.
Seems like a safe bet.
They're allowed to come in and vape. So as soon as they hear they can't smoke, they go, oh no, and then vape. Oh, okay, I'll take that.
All right, Cal. Well, that wraps up our few questions here, Cal. His team at Shekinah is rebuilding, expanding, and pushing through one of the toughest seasons. And their work that they're doing is shaping the recovery looks like in this region. Cal, thanks for taking the time to speak openly today. And to everyone listening, stay tuned. Conversations like this is how we keep the spotlight on people and programs that actually make really change happen. So again, Cal, thank you for your insight. I wish you all the best. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Curtis. Good to be here with you.
Thank you.
God bless. Okay.